marketing principles or philosophies? There's always a template, right? Like
Sure,
there's always, when you go into a company, what's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do?
So I've been very fortunate that in my training, I learned how to learn businesses.
Okay.
And that's the biggest benefit or the insight.
Yes.
So all businesses operate the same. I mean, there's two basic principles: control your costs, increase your revenue.
Yes.
There isn't a lot beyond that. We tend to overcomplicate it.
Yes.
And if you could see your silos, if you can chart the anatomy of a business and how revenue is generated from R&D, manufacturing, distribution, research, and you can bring it back, then you can actually look at the points that you can actually affect through communications. You can actually say between here and here, we could do something. We could do some public relations here or create an event.
Yes.
Or between here and here, we can have some, a push or a pull, in terms of the message.
Right.
The challenge is most business operators look at their business from the eyes of what they make and who they are,
Yes.
not what other people perceive themselves to be.
Okay.
I mean, there's too many books on branding and business and marketing and sales.
Yes.
And I see that many clients confuse the word marketing with sales.
100%.
Right, so that's the first error.
Yeah.
The second is they don't understand the basic branding principles.
Right.
And just to make it simple, when you build, I would argue that branding, I would change the word to mean business, right? And when you think about it, when you're building a brand, you have to stand for something. Right? Most folks don't necessarily understand what they stand for.
Or what they stand against.
Or what they stand against, and they try to accomplish too much. It's too broad.
Right.
If you're building a business, what do you make? What do you stand for?
Yes.
Right? The next step, which is pretty simple as well, is you actually have to stand for something that's believable. Right? You don't want to make a claim like it's the world's greatest cup of coffee.
Yes.
Right? Because if I'm a coffee drinker and you tell me that's the world's greatest cup of coffee, I'll try it. That is a strategy that will incur trial.
Yeah.
But unless I've done the consumer research that knows that if you taste it 2 or 3 times, you'll be converted to a loyal user.
Yes.
Since taste is subjective,
Correct.
a claim like that will force me to try it, and then I'll walk away and say, well, it was good, but it wasn't necessarily the greatest I ever had. And that's not a strategy that creates loyalty, that cements the emotional bond with the product delivery for a long-term, high-value client. And the other piece that people don't realize is you have to stand for something that you can actually pull off.
Your ability, your capabilities, your execution.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
If you say it's 9 a.m. or it's free, or it's 1 hour or it's free, it better be there in 1 hour.
Yes. Otherwise, you'll be delivering a lot of free pizza, right? Yeah.
And too many business owners think they could just be kitschy and quick, or that the phrase matters, and it does if it pays off an idea, if it pays off a business strategy. And my experience is good business people and good marketing people deal in strategies, and amateurs deal in tactics.
Tactics, that's right.
And that's at the end of the day.
Very true.
We're all the same.
And it's very interesting you say that, because it goes back to, first of all, what you're saying, understanding customers, understanding your own business model. Because I found that even as a consultant for so many years, that like we have a privilege of, because most people, they run one business, right?
Sure.
But we could go in and we look at so many different businesses.
The gift of objectivity.
Yeah, and I learn from different clients, right?
Absolutely.
And we're not so emotionally attached to, oh, this is my baby, this is my thing. No, just take a look at the business. What moves the needle? What generates the revenue?
That's right.
What is going on? This is a leak right here that you're not upselling your customers, right?
That's right.
Or you're bringing customers at a cost that's too high, or whatever it is.
Missed opportunities.
Or here's a collaboration, a joint venture opportunity that they don't look at it, right? Because they're just running their thing. Because of that, we look at different companies and we're able to see these things. And it seems to me that then you've developed this skill, really, because one of the things I teach is called high income skill. you develop the marketing skill that you'll be able to go into a company, an organization, you can make them grow,
I've been
right?
given the gift of independence and objectivity.
That's right.
And that allows me to see. It allows me to create vision that most people they're too close to.
That's right.
They're just too close to.
That's right. And then from there, and now you're doing your own project. Tell me like some of the projects, maybe last couple of projects that you have worked on that you're very proud of.
Wow. So the list goes on. I've built banks from small banks to big banks. I did something you'll think is funny. I took one small bank from 300 million in assets to 500 million in 2 years without an acquisition.
Wow.
And without
like internal growth, just
internal
revenue.
growth, just by reviewing their data.
Wow.
A bank's operating system traditionally can only access its accounts via account number or social security number. But if you can aggregate all those accounts by household, not only do you know what services those people have with you, the predictive model is not very difficult to understand what they don't have. And if you look at the account opening sequence, it's very easy to predict the next sequence that they have.
Yes.
So it was like taking candy from a baby. It was such low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
I charged a lot of money,
Yes.
and all I did was look at
at
their own data that they didn't have an understanding of how to use.
Right.
And I'm sure that's pretty similar to what you're doing today.
100%. And it's like they don't know they're sitting in a gold mine, right? On a gold, they just don't. They're too close to it.
They can't see.
And no one helps them to see where it's almost like they have the key to the treasure box.
Absolutely.
But then they're like, "Where's the key? Where's the key?" Well, it's right there, right?
It's like my storage unit.
Right? It's like it's right there. It's exactly it. It's just right there, and then it opens. But somehow I think people like marketing. People, we appreciate marketing.
Absolutely.
I think people who are not in marketing, I don't know if they appreciate marketing. It's kind of like, yeah, I got to do some marketing stuff, right? I got to have a marketing budget, right?
Sure.
Right? They don't look upon business is about marketing innovation, right? Just like
it's all about revenue.
Yeah.
You can have the best machine in the world or manufacture something terrific. But if you can't sell it, if you don't have any revenue, all you have is expense. And it's funny because revenue people are considered salespeople, and the salespeople are considered less than when you look at the content people that create the business.
That's right.
The analysts, the researchers, the smart guys are the ones who have the credibility.
That's sitting in the office, right?
They sit in the office.
Out there,
and those other guys, we keep them on a separate floor.
Yes.
Sometimes in a separate building.
Yes.
And unfortunately to them, those people make more money than they do.
That's right.
Right? Because they understand something and have a skill that the folks in the office don't have.
Right.
When you could marry the two, when you could marry the two with something that's marketable today. I hate phrases. I shouldn't use the word hate, but I really don't like things like state of the art. State of the art connotates the future. It connotates trial. It's not established. And I don't like things from the past. This is the way we've already done it. We always do it this way. Because those techniques could be considered old or stale. I like contemporary. I like present value.
What's happening right now?
If you can create a product or a service that's marketable, that solves a need for the consumer today, then you've got a business worth pursuing. And what I try to communicate to folks is that they have to live in the present. You're selling in the present, and the buyer is in the present. And if you can use it in today's language and in contemporary, I just lost my thought, and solve a problem today, you have a much greater chance of success.